Okay, guys. Come a morning cup of coffee.
Oh, that is sweet.
Guys, I honestly I'm in a little bit of disbelief. Ask some questions in the chat. We're going to do the pod here, 20 or 25 minutes of the show. So, I don't know. Enjoy it if you can. Thanks for joining in the chat. Ask questions. We'll try to get to them if we have time. I may stay on by myself afterwards and answer questions. So we appreciate you guys joining. Hello from Greece. Wow. Man,
Wow.
that's really cool that you're joining us from Greece on this YouTube channel. So we appreciate you joining. We appreciate all you guys joining. We'll try to get through this the best we can, everybody. That's all we can do. I'm trying to get Jay to get in this too, because like Jay's our big Steven Adams guy. But anyways, we'll talk through all the possibilities. We'll talk through the trade. We'll talk through what we know about it. I think I know what it is, but I'm not totally sure. But anyways, here we go. Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We are part of the Athletic Podcast Network, and we are without a podcast intro because Steven Adams has been traded to the New Orleans Pelicans for a package we don't know yet. It's part of like a 4 or 5 team deal. I don't even honestly have any clue exactly what it is, but hello from Japan. Wow. Okay, somebody in the chat is from Japan, and that's very cool to me.
Keigo Igarashi. Wow. Yeah. Germany, Spain. We're like really spreading.
We're like the Thunder. We're just an international team now. Over here. So they traded Steven Adams last night. I was completely asleep. I didn't know what was going on. My son came and woke me up around 1:30, and I had a ton of text messages just asking me if I was awake. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I've been down this road before. And so they traded Steven to the Pelicans, which one I love for Steven himself for several reasons. One, he gets to be coached by Stan Van Gundy, which I think is really, really great for him and for his career, because Stan Van's a guy that not going to beat around the bush with him. He's going to extract the maximum amount of talent that you can get from Steven, which I think should be very encouraging to people that love Steven Adams. But he's not on the Thunder anymore, which really sucks. It's one of those things where you think you're ready for it because, I mean, we've been talking about this. I've been hearing stuff about Steven being moved for, the last couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't know if they can get a first-round pick. If they can, they're going to ship him off, and there's a price tag on Steven. And when that's met, they're going to trade him. And, but I wasn't ready because it's just weird. There are a few players, and obviously like the big ones, obviously like the Kevin Durant move, the Russell Westbrook one. Those were obviously going to be like difficult days for Thunder fans, but this is a role player that never scored 30 points in a game when he was with the Thunder. And it's still it just feels this one is a gut punch. I mean, that's just frankly what it is. But the Thunder did receive back in the trade a 2023 lottery protected pick from Denver, which will assuredly not be in the lottery for Denver, as they have like a young, good team, even without Jeremy Grant. Well, we need to touch on that. This Jeremy Grant thing is also tied in. Hello from India. Oh my goodness, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, we have also China. Like it's
China, unbelievable.
Wow.
Thank you, guys. It's all intertwined. It all runs together, and let's talk through why they traded Steven first, Michele. And I haven't even let you talk yet. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling on here. They traded Steven because he's an expiring contract. And they traded Steven because they wanted to get an asset for him before he moved on. And you watched Jeremy Grant get traded last night from the Nuggets, And Steven wouldn't do what Jeremy did for the reasons Jeremy did it, but we don't know for sure that Steven wouldn't have moved on from the Thunder. And so you just can't let guys get to free agency. They couldn't let Oubre get to free agency. They couldn't let Schroeder get to free agency. They couldn't let Jeremy Grant get to free agency. They couldn't let Steven get to free agency. I mean, it's just, you couldn't do it. So, but Ariza is also in this deal. I believe it's George Hill. I don't know that for sure, but I believe it's George Hill coming back to OKC to complete the salary portion of the deal. But what are your initial thoughts, Michele, as I have rambled on for 5 minutes?
Well, first of all, I owe some explanation about my podcast location. This is my kid's bedroom, which was the only room available around this time. So apologize for that. Second, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, I think that Steven has some value, and I'm sure that if OKC and him and his agency or whoever or directly himself wanted to give it like a long-term view, like say you're sticking here for the next 4 or 5 years, you will be with these young buds, you'll be the pillar of our culture. Will not guarantee you to be like to reach this high salary for the next contract or something like that. Then maybe there was some room to keep him around here. Maybe. But New Orleans, as you said, is a good place for him. It's a place that has a great coach that probably is a little bit ahead on the rebuilding phase compared to the Thunder, because they already have 2 very, very good players. One is probably going to be, if everything goes well, an All-NBA type of guy. And so, I mean, it makes sense for Steven to go there. I don't know if it will be long-term. Probably they will feel each other out and see if that can be a destination that makes sense for the entire career or for the next contract of Steven Adams. I don't see a clear fit with Zion and a traditional center. I don't like the Hayes pick for that reason. But now you have Hayes and Adams. I don't know how that will work. But hey, I mean, Steven is a good guy to have around. If you face Jokic or if you face Embiid and you have Steven Adams, you probably, and you can get him for cheap, that probably is a good trade. I don't know what the return is. The pick is, I would say, very good for Steven Adams' value. Is much better than the one that they got for Dennis Schroeder. That lets me at least believe that the salary, hey, it's Jay.
It's Jay. If I sound terrible, just kick me out. I left my microphone at home. Does this sound okay?
It's fine. It's fine. We're grieving here, Jay. It's fine.
Yeah, you can tell by the puffiness in my eyes, man, that I've just been crying for the last hour.
Clarification, Nate 27. Thanks. I'm scrambling in my brain to even wrap my mind around the Thunder roster, let alone these 2 trades that happened simultaneously. When I woke up, I thought it was like a 3-team deal, but it obviously is not.
Hold on.
Part of the James Johnson.
It might be. You can have 2 3-team deals. One is between Minnesota, Dallas, and OKC that involves Trevor Ariza. No extra pick for the Thunder, probably a second or something like that. And then there's this trade with Minnesota and New Orleans and maybe another team that involves Steven Adams. But again, we don't know the details as of yet. And what I was saying is that giving the value of the pick that OKC got, I expect that in there is some salary that is not good. Either
I need details. I have no idea what happened. Like, I know that Steven got traded to the Pelicans, but I haven't heard any of you said there's a second one. I literally just rolled out of bed and saw that news.
They shipped James Johnson to Dallas as a part of a 3-team deal that included Trevor Ariza from the Detroit Pistons back to OKC, Justin Jackson to OKC in that deal, and some kind of pick compensation for OKC as well to take on Ariza's contract. So, but we don't know what the compensation is yet. So, and then the deal for Steven, which will likely include George Hill, possibly Eric Bledsoe as well. We don't know the details.
What wouldn't make sense to me, though, is why would he take Bledsoe on now? if the Bucks, surely that was part of the reason that they didn't get Schroeder.
I just don't know. I just don't really know the detail.
Yeah, I know. Once we find the details out, hopefully they come out while we're talking. So,
yeah,
but,
and maybe it's just that they wanted a deal completed to a certain date. I mean, this was one of the main reasons why OKC traded as quickly as possible with the Lakers, because they wanted the pick to have something to trade for in the draft, and they use it right away. I mean, you had to have the pick already in your hands in order to complete the deal, to be sure to complete the deal with Minnesota. So maybe maybe Minnesota was not as amenable to a future protected first, and wanted a real pick, and OKC gave them a real pick. So, and the pick that they are getting now, it's better. So it's better than the 28th.
It is better. And also, you have to keep in mind that all of these deals are connected. If the Thunder, everybody was kind of upset that the Thunder didn't keep Jeremy Grant for last year. Well, if the Thunder didn't trade Jeremy Grant, they don't have the asset to trade up to get Poku, right? They don't have the juice to get him. Same with the Schroeder deal. They don't have what it takes to get Dennis Schroeder or to get Poku because they didn't trade Dennis Schroeder. It's all connected. And if you're late to the party, the Thunder are doing a supercharged version of the process. That's what's happening. And make no mistake, Al Horford's next. And Al Horford, I don't know if he's immediately flippable, but when Al Horford averages 18, 9, and 3 for the Thunder to start the season, he can be flippable. They'd be like, oh, Al Horford is back. The Thunder have resurrected him. He's a player again. But the truth is, somebody has to score the points on this team. Somebody has to score the points. Shea can't score 89 points a game. Somebody's got to.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, Shea takes 47 shots per game. But this is what we've been preparing for really over a year, and we kind of got this gap year. And I mean, the reshaping of this roster, it hasn't even been a week since Schroeder was traded, by the way. And the reshaping of this roster has happened so fast. It tells you the motivation of where the Thunder's head is at collectively is
bottom.
We need to have a top 5 pick in the 2021 draft. We have to. We have to have it. And that's the first step in this rebuild and this replenishing. They've replenished their assets, and now it's time to replenish the roster. The roster is depleted. I mean, you look up and down it, and it's like people want to ask about Justin Jackson. Well, Justin Jackson hasn't been a good player in the NBA. He's just straight up.
Yeah, he's fine. He'll be fine. He doesn't make you. He's not Kelly Oubre who brings you further towards mediocrity.
No, he may bring you down further.
Exactly.
It's a perfect player to have. Perfectly fine player to have this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they would like to get Cade. They would like to. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that draft, and we will. I promise you, our draft coverage may begin in December this year, for many reasons. But it will begin there because the Thunder will still have a chance to get multiple. I still believe that they will have a chance to get multiple lottery picks in the 21 draft because I just don't. I know that Rockets fans are pretty jacked about Christian Wood, and I shouldn't say the sentence "jacked" and Christian Wood all in one sentence, but I know they're excited. But listen, the Christian Wood is not going to be like, okay, great. James Harden's like, okay, good. Finally, we've got Christian Wood. We can continue on with this. We can continue on. No, I mean, there's still Westbrook stuff out there. There's still James Harden stuff out there. I mean, I still expect them to be traded. So, man, it's they're going to have a chance to be one of the best young teams in the league, but it's going to take some time. Like, we have to realize this is going to take time for them to get there.
Yeah, and we've said it before, but this is the perfect season to be doing that just because of the lack. I mean, there's 72 games. There's who knows if it's going to be on TV. I'm assuming they'll do some sort of negotiation before we get there. But I think the emotional side of it for Thunder fans, and I think it's really hard for people to see that kind of vision, even though it's been so clearly laid out for us. Because, like I've even heard people they're not basketball people, but they're people I respect. Like, that you can't draft all these players, Sam. You got to get real people at some point. Like, as if Sam doesn't know that.
Hold my beer.
Right. Yeah, no. Sam has 20 guys. And maybe you take 20 bites of the apple and you get somewhere. But
this is all, and I've been saying this, and I'm going to continue to say it throughout the rest of this season until the Thunder have a good team. This is all about bending the odds in the Thunder's favor. This is all about trying to leverage everything they can to get a superstar. And the Thunder don't have the luxury of sitting back and waiting for a superstar to come on the market and to lure them to Oklahoma City. They don't have that luxury. They're not Miami. They're not Boston. They're not Philadelphia. They're not the Lakers. They're not the Clippers. They're not the Warriors. They can't do that. We're not on the coast. We're smack dab in the middle. And so as Thunder fans, we never really endured the pain that it took to get that first team, right? And there was pain along the way for the franchise itself. Seattle had to endure it in multiple ways, by the way. Like, 1, you suck. 2, you don't have a team anymore. Then the Thunder get here. And that year, the first year that they were here, was just like, oh, cool. We have an NBA team now. Our logo looks like the Doritos logo. That's cool. You can just you go see Kobe in my city. Wow. Go see LeBron in my city. Wow. This is amazing. And then the next year, they're good. So there was no pain involved with becoming a contender then. Now we get to have those Seattle years here. This next year is going to be one of those Seattle years that it took to get Kevin, that it took to get Russell. We endured the year that it took to get James. And it will likely not be just back to back to back. The odds say they will likely miss on somebody. That even in 21, which is, everybody keeps talking about what a sure thing it is in the top 7. Well, one of those guys is surely not going to be a guy that's going to change your franchise. Surely one of them could be Michael Beasley. You just got to hope that the Thunder don't take the Michael Beasley guy. But I'm just saying, like, you just have to prepare yourself for, look at the process with the Sixers. They took Jahlil Okafor in the midst of that. They took Nerlens Noel in the midst of that. You don't want to take those guys. Hopefully Sam doesn't take those guys. But
they took Markelle Fultz.
They took Markelle Fultz.
They paid to take Markelle Fultz.
They paid to take Markelle Fultz. But the whole reason they did it was to get Ben Simmons and to get Joel Embiid. And they got those guys. And it was all, trust me, a lot of people are like, well, did it even work? Listen, they were on the treadmill of mediocrity. That's where they were. They had this Andre Iguodala, Drew Holiday team that was going to make the 7th or 8th seed every year. They were going to get bounced in the first round, and then they were going to do it again. And that's where they were until Sam Hinkie came along. That's where they were headed. They were just going to be on this treadmill of mediocrity where your team is going nowhere. And I get that bottoming out is not the most fun thing to do, but in order to get back to the top, you have to bottom out. And again, we're talking about odds. Like, you have to play the odds. This is how the Thunder think, is like playing the odds. In order to get back to the top, the odds are so incredibly low that you stay in the middle and go to the top. You have to be a large market franchise to stay in the middle and go to the top. You have to be.
Yeah.
Or you go to the bottom and then jump to the top. That's just how it works. And that's how it's worked since the beginning of the NBA. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and I know it's not good to lose. And OKC will have some losing over the next 2 years. But it's not that you're losing with a team that is supposed to win. I was thinking about that this morning. I know it's small price, but in the end, you'll have the pleasure to watch very, very interesting young talent grow in OKC. with a view on the future. Like, not many teams have that. Like, Presti is getting an enormous amount of draft picks, but he's also choosing the players that are sticking around in OKC. It's not by chance that Oubre is gone or that Danny Green is rebooted for a guy like Al Horford, who has very little value today, but can have like very good value in a year from now. So there is a process. They're not signing Terry Rozier to a 20 million contract just because maybe. No, it's not the way in which you should build. And I have friends of mine that are like, they follow the NBA and say, well, yeah, but now they have all these picks. Are they good? Yes, you can package them. Presti just showed you that you can package 25 and 28 to get to 16. I don't think he will be scared to trade three first-round picks to get where he wants to be in a draft. I mean, the Mavs just did that with Luka. They pay, or for Porzingis. I mean, you can do stuff like that all the time. It's not that in 2023 someone will say, well, no, you have too many picks. You have to give me 3. Okay, I will do that. I mean, Presti will not be scared by dangling this pick if the right guy comes available. Like, it's...
And I think if you look at all you need is a year like this year. I know that part of the reason Minnesota and Golden State didn't want those picks is because there wasn't a Cade Cunningham, and I get that. But if you look at a team like the Warriors, who's like, we want to compete right now, Sam could be gathering somebody from somewhere else because he has both the cap space and the picks in order to reroute to the Warriors at 2. Like, there's enough finagling that you can do to utilize this war chest of picks and the space that they're about to have, and then to move up into positions that really make sense, because there's going to be, I mean, the Sacramento Kings chose Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic, right? Like, there's all sorts of things where the Thunder just need a little bit of luck, and to position yourself to have that luck, you have to have the assets to be able to move and maneuver the way. And they're also going to be really bad. Like, the Thunder are going to be a top 5 pick this year. Is my prediction. I think that's how bad they're going to be.
It's likely.
You just look at this team they're putting together. Like, I have no idea what this team. Anyway, that's
let's just be real. They're not putting together.
The team that they're going to have on the court.
But it's still functional. Like, if you have Shea, you have Dort, you have Paisley, you have Orford, and maybe someone who comes from Milwaukee, they will be bad. They will build a team that makes sense. I am convinced of that. I'm not sure. The only thing that I didn't like about the Philly project and the process, was that they just put Casper Ware on the court. I don't think that OKC will go that route. They will have teams that compete hard, and they will lose hard. They will get stomped because the West is so good that even if you have an up-and-coming team, like, you can still win 20, 22 games, because in the end, I mean, talent wins games, and maybe they will beat a randomly good team once in a while, but otherwise, it's not going to be like that. Yeah. And with that, guys, I have to go.
Steve Michele.
My wife is signaling me that it's late and I have to go.
Here we go. Thanks, Michele.
See ya.
Bye.
So what we do know, Jay, I'm so intrigued by who's in this trade.
We don't know yet. We'll find out this morning.
They didn't get Nah, did they?
I don't believe so. That would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
I don't believe they did. I believe
it's going to be George Hill, because they're including it, and it wouldn't be anybody else. Like, they said it's a three-team deal with Milwaukee, but that's really just New Orleans shifting over one of their assets that they're getting from Milwaukee to Oklahoma City, right?
Exactly. This is the Thunder calling in both those teams and saying, "Hey, we'd love to get in on that.
We'll take your picks. Thank you."
Assets. I mean, so last night, they acquired 4 second-round picks and a first-round pick
between Detroit,
between the Steven Adams and James Johnson deal.
Yeah.
So
I say this, on a side note that I haven't at least talked about in this podcast, like Steven in New Orleans is awesome for them.
That was like the first thing I said was that Steven Adams gets to be coached by Stan Van Gundy. Like,
I mean,
if you're feeling bad today, which you should be feeling bad if you're a Thunder fan, but if you're feeling bad today, just say that sentence to yourself, because that's to me, there are very few coaches in this league that I would feel good about Steven taking it up a level with. I just don't know that there's a lot. Like Billy, obviously, not that he did bad things with Steven, but I just don't think he was able to get Steven to take everything up a level. But I think that Stan Van can extract the maximum Steven Adams out of him. And that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
To be able to see that. I wish it was here, but and it's really, the thing is that if he got traded in the middle of the season, whenever there was lots of underwhelming Steven Adams moments, it may feel a little bit different. But what hurts so much with Steven is just like his personality and his presence and what he brings to the team, brings to the court, brings to the locker room. Just hilarious moments all the time. I can't remember what game it was, but I remember after a game, Steven is standing in the media room holding this tiny tin NASA lunchbox while he's doing his media availability. And everybody's asking questions. And then after they call for last question, I'm like, yeah, Steven, what's in your lunchbox there? And he goes, oh, nothing. I ate all my lunch. And it was just hilarious. Like these just little tiny moments with him. And
yeah, they're going to be awesome in New Orleans. And here's the thing about the next few years for me is it really opens up my fandom of the NBA far more. Yeah. Right. Like I'll follow the Pelicans now, you know, like I'll watch what they do and cheer for them even, and then I don't think I'll follow Detroit because I can't follow a team that has that many power forwards. But
what in the world are they doing?
I don't know. Troy Weaver.
Troy do it, man.
I know.
He's he's on his way to become the director of foresight and insight for the Thunder here in 2 years, right?
That Rob Hennigan pad,
man. That's wild. And I did want to talk about them in the context of Jeremy Grant, because they signed Jeremy Grant to a 3-year, $60 million contract. And it's not even that Detroit, or it's not even that's a wild deal, by the way, for JG. That's a big time deal.
Also why the Thunder traded him, by the way.
Exactly why the Thunder traded him. And it's exactly why the Thunder traded Dennis Schroeder, and it's exactly why the Thunder traded Steven Adams ultimately, is that expiring contract, we got to extract the value, because it could be, Gallo just walked. We thought, oh, surely Gallo will be a sign and trade. There's no good teams that will want him. There's no teams on his timeline that'll want him. And then Atlanta's gets the ownership of Atlanta's like, hey, you got to make the playoffs today. Like, we're tired of this. Go do it now. And so they end up having to go sign Gallinari. And I will tell you also,
what a weird.
You don't want your ownership, and I don't think the ownership of the Thunder will do this. As far as I know, the Thunder ownership is on board with this plan and to ride it out as long as it takes. But whenever you start this plan, you don't want to eject from it early. You don't want to try something else sooner, because that's
what really discombobulated the Sixers.
Exactly, and it's going to screw up the Hawks. Because if the Hawks don't make the playoffs this year, which is a sincere possibility, by the way, because the East is not as bad as you think it is.
We did this whole conversation talking about the the Magic with Russ or something like that, or somebody like that. There's 7 good teams in the East.
The Magic have screwed themselves over throughout the years too by not continuing their process, because they traded for Serge Ibaka. They traded a lottery pick and Victor Oladipo for Serge Ibaka. And if they would have just not done that deal, maybe Vic does improve that next year and you get Sabonis. And the Magic's entire trajectory is different. Instead, they ended up with Terrence Ross. And that's what they ultimately ended up with. You can't rush the process. You cannot. And this is why you call it the process. This is why the genesis of the process was the thing. It's like, trust the process, let it carry out. And the Sixers couldn't do it because the NBA stepped in. People were freaking out about it. But the Thunder are going to do what they can to replicate a supercharged version of that.
Yeah, and Alex Bowlerjack in the comments said that this seems, at least for him, like more of a Boston rebuild than a Philly rebuild, which I would probably agree, just in the sense of, like, obviously Oklahoma City amassed far more picks, or is amassing far more picks.
Yeah.
And Boston always has the luxury of signing a Gordon Hayward, signing a Kemba Walker, like a Kyrie Irving wants to play there at least for a year. And so I think that is obviously the distinction, which even Philly kind of has that a little bit. But I do think with Shea and Dort and Baisley and maybe Poku, like, they've already got a young core. I think that you've mentioned this a few times where there's going to be a season where they're going to be competing on a higher level and still having 10 picks in the first round over 3 years.
That's why you do this. That's why you do this right now. I mean, we talk about replenishing. They have taken everything they had.
Yeah.
And you can look at the roster today and it's mostly unrecognizable. I mean, Justin Jackson is on this team now. I mean, the longest tenured Thunder player is Hamidou Diallo today. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. I mean, I don't know if Poku will start, but I mean, Lloyd Grissom wants us to like walk through what the starting lineup could be. My guess is like day one, SGA, Dort.
I couldn't put this together because I don't know who's on the team.
Right. We played this game yesterday and it's already changed.
Horford, if he's still here.
Horford will start. I don't know if they can flip Horford immediately. They're eventually going to flip him, though. He will, because the last year of his contract is non-guaranteed. I think that could be enticing because really he only has 2 years left on his deal. And then the fit with Philadelphia was so bad.
So bad. His value will be reclaimed a little bit this year, I guarantee you.
It's plummeted. And maybe Eric Bledsoe does come to the Thunder, which I would not be very excited about, to be honest. And it makes the trade much worse to have to take on Bledsoe. But if Bledsoe's here, he's another guy that you probably start SGA, Bledsoe, Dort, Baisley, Horford is probably the starting lineup. And then you just say, hey, I mean, there's going to be shots to go around. I mean, Horford and Bledsoe, it's like, hey, go hog wild, guys. Go do your thing. Right. Because if Bledsoe shows to be a good defender and a passable offensive player, you can flip him.
You can move him. They both are on the same. We're assuming that Bledsoe may be in this, but aren't they both on the same salary timeline? How many years does Bledsoe have left?
I don't have that.
I'm looking it up. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, there's a lot to process through with this team. Poku's coming over. We saw the picture of him in the airport yesterday with his fanny pack, which was a glorious sight. He's coming. Teo Maledon is coming over. I believe Vit Krejci, who is our 37th pick, is not coming over this year. But they're going to see what they've got in Ty Jerome. They're going to see what they've got in Jalen LeCue. They're going to see what they've got in Hami even, because I still don't know that they have any clue what they've got in him.
Man, I hope you guys – so there's two things I do want to say, and then I probably should go about my morning since it's been ruined. So here's the thing is the first thing is if you haven't watched any Teo Maledon highlights, go watch some of him play. And I'm trying to give a comp on because he's not the most like he has a lot of Tony Parker's game, but he's not as quick as Tony Parker.
No,
but he seems bigger than Tony Parker, which
he's a little Kirk Heinrich-y.
Yeah. Which should be a great role player on your team.
I know that
in the second round.
Excuse me. I know that doesn't sound great. But go back and I mean, Kirk Heinrich was a player in the league for a long time, like a good player, until he started just accessorizing every part of his body toward the end of his career. And it's like, what are you doing? And he was so weighed down by his accessories that he had to leave the NBA. But pre-accessories, Kirk Heinrich was a good player.
Yeah. Somebody just mentioned Bledsoe's contract is 3 years left, but the third year is only 3.9 guaranteed. So it's not bad.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
I will say the other thing I wanted to say before we leave, and I don't know if they're watching this, but they will watch this or they will hear this, is over the course of Steven's career as Down to Dunk, as we have amassed a group of awesome New Zealand fans and friends.
Yeah.
And listen, if we need to start talking Pelicans basketball just to keep you around, we just need to know. You just need to send us a Twitter message, and we'll now follow the Pelicans. We are also a Pelicans podcast, as long as it keeps our New Zealand friends with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have my buddy Max from Gang of Youths was texting me last night or I guess what time was that? Yeah, he texted me at 5:30 this morning. It was just broken heart emojis. Man, I know, man. It's hard. Like this is difficult for all of us. It's just a difficult one. I mean, it really is. But you have to have your head in the right space as a Thunder fan, and trust me, you want to be one of the people that is right about where this is headed, and we can help guide you there. Okay, we can help guide you toward what's happening if you'll just stick with us. Okay, because it's very clear what's happening. Sam Presti wrote it in the Oklahoman. What's happening? Just stick with us, because we're gonna honestly, I truly believe that this is gonna work, and I know that people think it won't. Whatever, it's gonna. I truly believe this is gonna work. It will eventually work. Okay. But
I think it could be quick too. I think if you do pull off getting Cade Cunningham, man, that changes the whole franchise. And apparently there's 6 other guys. I just know I've seen Cade Cunningham play, and he's insane.
And if Poku can be good, man, that's another thing. If Poku can be good, that jumps the timeline pretty significantly, because really this year they weren't supposed to get a needle mover in the draft.
Which is why you take a swing.
Yeah. And they took a swing, and if they connect, boy, and then if you get a top 5 guy in the next draft, and then a top 5 guy in the next draft, then you have Shea, Dort, Bays, Poku, draft pick, and it could be draft pick. Like,
you're right.
Like, I mean, that's what they're heading toward. It could be quicker, but you have to have the long term in your brain, because this is not about trying to make another playoff run. This is about trying to win an NBA championship in Oklahoma City. That's what this is all about.
Yep.
So this entire thing is going to be about is how can we win an NBA championship in Oklahoma City? It's not how can we be a good team or how can we get back in the playoffs. No. The goal in all of this is how do we win a championship? How do we do that? And this is the way.
Yeah, and I think the encouragement I'll say, and we need to be done. I can hear your family is ready for you to come out and throw your kids around. So I think the thing that also is important to remember, like I heard somebody in the chat mention that the Thunder are not going to draft Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook again, and James Harden again.
No, they won't.
And I agree with that. But I think the thing to remember as a fan of basketball in general is like there were many other championship runs created by other teams in that same era that didn't have the same draft capital. You look at the Golden State Warriors, they drafted Steph and Clay. Neither one of them were top 5 picks. You know, like there's ways to, but having as many swipes at it as you can gives you the best chance, because you never know. The Thunder, if Poku hits, then at 17, they got the guy that is one of the pillars. Like you just don't know until you and so that's why not just take as many hits as you can.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway.
That's what we're going to try to do.
Yep. Steven Adams gone from the Oklahoma City Thunder. As soon as I'm sure Michele and Andrew on Monday will walk through what the new roster looks like. They'll have the details of this trade and any other possible trade over the next few days. And man, it's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm going to stick around and answer a few questions.
Okay. I'll hang out with you too then, man. I just didn't want to take your time up.
Okay. This is a big day. People are asking about Harry Giles. Man, Harry Giles is not a needle mover. Probably not coming to OKC. If he does, cool. If not, trust me, I wouldn't worry about it. Justin, White Black is asking about Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson to this point in his NBA career is just not good. He's
25. He's had enough years where he's kind of proven who he is.
Yeah, I just wouldn't count on a whole lot. If he turns it around and becomes a role player, like a 3-and-D role player, great. If he doesn't, it's more likely that he doesn't. But it's just another like, hey, we'll try it. We'll give it a try. It's better. Sure. I'll tell you this: it's better than having James Johnson on your team.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's the He's the type of player the Thunder are going to try. And the Thunder, make no mistake, are going to be bringing in guys like that, like guys that have been picked in the lottery over the course of the last 4 or 5 years and saying, okay, we'll try. And they probably will fail. This is something the Thunder have done for forever. Is they brought in Hashim Thabit, they brought in Deion Waiters, they brought in Enes Kanter, they brought in all these guys that didn't quite hit where they were supposed to. And they were lottery picks, and so they're going to continue to do stuff like that.
Yep.
Let's see. My golden fetus asks about how many picks we have. That's quite a name. I don't know. I don't. And I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until probably tomorrow and then see, because they're still probably not done. I mean, let's be honest. They've completely flipped this whole thing. Michael Clampett says, speaking of Noel, what kind of contract do you think he's going to get? I still think he's going to get around a minimum contract with somebody. I don't think it'll be with OKC. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I think that they would rather.
No. Well, don't you think he's seeing what's going on here? Like, yeah, if I'm him, like, I'm trying to think of what team would need a center right now. Like, I even think Houston would still take a burner on him.
Yeah, or the Clippers could use him, I think.
Yeah, especially since they lost Trez.
They lost Trez for nothing to the Lakers.
It's unreal to me that he went for so little.
Oh my goodness, that was an FU move to the Clippers, is what that was. That was just a total FU move. Let's see.
Chet Holmgren and Amoni Bates, right, in that class of 2022.
Yeah. We don't know if Amoni's going to be in that class
because he has to reclassify, right, or something like that.
We don't know if he's for sure in that class or not. But yeah, if we got Poku and Chet, that would be amazing. Did Poku start on this team? I don't know, because I don't know what position he plays in the NBA.
I'm assuming him and Bays would be kind of your front court of the future, is my guess. But they would both probably fours. Although maybe Poku could be a 3-ish.
He could possibly. I mean, anything from 3 to 5 would not shock me with Poku.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me if that's where we were going with all of this. Steven Adams on Bourbon Street, Colin Reed. Yeah, I mean, there's some really good potential for Steven.
Oh man, for the dude that loves food too to be in New Orleans.
I feel good for Steven. I think it's a really good situation for him. I think that's where we can. I
think the Pelicans are going to be very successful. Like, I think with their new coach, I think with some of the new additions, like, I think they're going to be a good team.
Yeah, for sure. Christian Mutusamy is from South London. Loves the podcast. Thanks for saying that. We've got a lot of people from all over the world here.
I'm telling you, I missed the question yesterday in the podcast about where you want to go, or have you been to Europe? I haven't been to Europe. Where do I want to go? London. I just want to go to London.
It would be awesome. Let's see what else we got here. Rank the trade value of Horford, Ariza, Bledsoe, and Hill. This is from Warner West.
Ariza's a 1-year contract, right?
He's got a year left. I don't know.
I think he's a buyout.
I don't know what he's got left in the tank. To me, I'll tell you this. If the Thunder weren't going to buy out James Johnson, they're sure as heck not going to buy out Trevor Ariza.
Right. Finland. All these places that are incredible.
They're not.
I'll tell you.
They're going to trade him. So as far as value goes, I think probably George Hill may have the highest value, because I think he's got a lower salary than these guys. And he was super good last year. He shot like 45% from 3 last year. I mean, he was a very good player. If that's who indeed the Thunder get, we don't know that for sure. We don't know for sure what's coming back to OKC. But I mean,
Trevor Ariza's got 12, almost 13 million for this year, and that's it.
Yeah. So probably Hill, Ariza, Horford, Bledsoe is probably how I would order them.
Got an expiring contract for a guy that could contribute.
Yep. Man. So we'll continue to try to break this down for you guys over the course of next week. We'll try to figure out who's on the roster, what does it look like, what are they doing, and then who are the best guys in the 2021 draft. I'll start working on that, to be honest, probably this weekend. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I just don't even feel like we can play music anymore right now. Like, this is just not a day to play music. So we'll sign off, and we will talk to you guys again on Monday.